Good morning, students. Today I will be continuing with the breeding strategies for genetic improvement of different species. In that, actually, today's class I will just summarize. I think I will just give you the summary of what I did for cattle and buffaloes. I will take what are the breeding strategies required for sheep and goats, and then I will continue for swine and poultry also. Okay, I think by now you are very much aware of the fact that breeding strategies is nothing but the reproduction of selected males and females, or you can also say it is utilization of the available genetic resources, okay, in order to improve the next generation of produce the next generation of individuals and have a better producing generation rather. Okay, we'll have instead of just I think if you remember the Hardy-Weinberg populations wherein so we imposed the conditions like so random breeding, large random mating population without the effect of selection, mating, selection, mutation and migration. Okay, so there we emphasize there is no effect, there is no genetic change in the next generation of individual. But here actually in the breeding strategies, we are looking forward to change the genetic structure of the population for the betterment of human livelihood. Okay, we can say in that simple terms, we are trying to look for the betterment of human livelihood through breeding strategies. Okay, I will just summarize what we covered for what I covered for cattle and buffaloes here. So I think cattle buffaloes distinct, this one is as already I told you. So we have distinct population structure. One is crossbreds, then the second point is we have got descript cattle, we have got non-descript cattle, both in buffaloes also. Okay, crossbreds in the buffaloes is termed as graded up. Okay, crossbreds in the buffaloes is termed as graded up buffaloes. Okay, I think that distinction is very clear. When we say crossbred in cattle, we have got, so as already I have pointed out over here, it is we use, what we should do is use the non-descript cattle with the exotic to produce the first generation of crossbred individuals. Okay, to begin with. So but that has been done since decades. We have got a group of crossbred cattle having different levels of ND cattle inheritance and exotic inheritance. Now at this time we have got group of crossbreds with varying inheritance of exotic and the ND cattle. Okay, so and that we should keep. So ND cattle form the resource for the production of next generation of crossbreds. Okay, in the same way ND buffaloes will form the base for the production of graded up buffaloes. Okay, in the first point, if you just look at the first point, that is use of ND cattle. Okay, so in the same way for buffaloes, use of ND buffaloes in order to produce the next generation of graded up, first generation of graded up buffaloes. Okay, so I think you just replace the crossbred word is for cattle and graded up for the buffaloes. Okay, other things remain same in these 3 points I have given here. So that they will, and we have already told they form the major chunk of the population in both cattle and buffaloes. They almost come to the tune of 50%, up to 50% in both cattle and buffalo. Non-descript category is there. Okay, and at this point, then the second one is utilization of, second point you can just look there, utilization of the crossbred bulls for further improvement of crossbred cattle I have written. Okay, so that is you should use the crossbred bulls category instead of exotic bulls. See, just now I told you, after decades of crossbreeding or grading up, we have got plenty of crossbred cattle available in India. In order to improve them, we should not go for exotic level inheritance further. So you should restrict the use of exotic inheritance for the first generation only. Okay, so these crossbred bulls should be utilized for further improvement of the already available crossbred cattle with varying levels of exotic and ND cattle inheritance. And second point, in the second point for the buffaloes, there is no restriction. You can go up to any extent for grading up of buffaloes with the allied breeds of Indian origin, that is Murrah and Surti or Mehsana, whichever is the breed. We can use the bulls, that is grading the top quality breed of Indian origin to any extent. You don't have to restrict to the limited inheritance. So unlike in cattle, we told don't use the exotic bulls for the further upgradation of this crossbred cattle. So you should only use the crossbred bulls. Okay, that point you should keep in mind. And for buffaloes, there is no restriction. You can use the pure elite breeds of Indian origin to any extent. Okay, you can continuously use the graded, that is top quality Indian origin buffalo bull for the upgradation of graded up buffaloes continuously, provided if there is a problem only in the areas where I think buffaloes have got the capability to, any good breed of buffalo has got the capability to adjust to varying environmental conditions. So you can go ahead with the any buffalo, to any extent you can use the top quality Indian origin buffalo breed for grading up on the graded up group of buffaloes. Okay, so this is about the second point. So coming to the third point, so this third point applies exclusively to cattle. Third point, so wherein you should restrict the exotic level inheritance to 50 to 62.5% only. Okay, so beyond that, if you go, it will be a problem for average Indian livestock rearing conditions. In the farms where high-tech inputs are available, you can go beyond the 62.5% also. Okay, so if the for an average cattle, 50 to 62.5% of exotic inheritance is the optimum one. Okay, so then the second bullet point I have given is descript cattle. Okay, descript cattle and descript buffaloes. So there is the best practice is within breed selection and further breeding. So you should not use any other exotic breed, or exotic breed should not be utilized for improvement of the descript cattle. The breeds, that is animals of their own origin, should be utilized for the improvement of descript cattle. Okay, so technique, that is reproduction technique, it can be natural service or the artificial insemination. Okay, there is no need to bother about the artificial insemination technique, which is the technique of reproduction utilized. Okay, I think for descript buffaloes same thing applies. For Murrah improvement, we should go for the Murrah animals only. For Surti animals, we should use the Surti animals only in the same way. Mehsana, Jafarabadi, okay, Pandrapuri, whichever. So within the breed, you should select the animals, utilize the same males and females for the further development of the respective descript cattle or buffalo breed. Okay, coming to the third bullet point, that is for the ND. Okay, ND. So the option is you should okay, in the breeding strategies we should see that if the farmer is willing, you should go for cross breeding for their improvement. If there is no this one, so farmer is not willing, you should leave it as such. Okay, so we don't have to worry about it, you should leave it, because of their own reasons farmers may not be willing to participate in the breeding strategy. Okay, so then we'll just move on to the sheep and goat category, that is sheep and goat species. So sheep and goat species has got important differences when we compare to the buffaloes, cattle and buffaloes. So first one important thing is the generation interval of the sheep and goats is less. Okay, compared to the cattle and buffaloes, the generation interval is less, quite remarkably less. So I told in the first class, I think generation interval for the buffaloes will be something like 4 years, and for cattle around 3 years. Even when we come to the sheep and goats, it is hardly 1 year. Okay, 1 year is the generation interval for the 1 year, or 13 months is the generation interval in case of sheep and goats. Generation interval is the time required, okay, unit time required for the production of next generation of individuals. Okay, that is far less in the sheep and goats. Second point is fecundity is very high in the sheep and goats. Okay, fecundity means number of, you can say like this, number of progeny produced per unit time, that is very high in sheep and goats. Okay, so it can go up to 1.5 to 3, 1.5 to 2.5 average number of progeny per year, per unit time, or per year, per generation. It is high compared to cattle and buffaloes. Okay, then coming to the breeding. So what kind of breeding method is utilized here? Actually, sheep and goats, although artificial insemination is practiced in some of the farms, the extent of coverage is very less. Predominantly breeding is natural service. Okay, sheep and goats predominantly they are covered by natural service method. That is the breeding leading or common method of breeding utilized in sheep and goats. Okay, then these are all these points are sheep and goat features with respect to genetics only, breeding only, not with respect to the husbandry. Okay, so we are talking, because we are talking livestock breeding strategies, in that I am just giving these points because these are useful for the further improvement of sheep and goats. Then the average flock size, the fourth point is average flock size is larger compared to cattle and buffaloes. So I think if you see the sheep rearing and goat rearing practices in India, sheep size actually is more compared to goat flock size. They are reared in more number. Okay, and goats they are relatively in less number. Flock size is less compared to sheep. So on an average, cattle and buffalo, compared to cattle and buffalo, you'll have unit of something like at least 15 or 20 are reared together in a flock, and maximum can go up to 500 also, especially in sheep, 500 or even thousands in the sheep size. So this flock size does matter for the breeding. For that reason we have just put it here, because more is the number measured, higher is the intensity of selection. Okay, then coming to the population structure, and important point that should not be, these last 2 points are the important point that should never be missed in the breeding strategy. One is, so population target, how is the target population? One is, it has got a non-descript section is there, that is again predominant, just like cattle and buffaloes. Descript category, it is medium in this one section. It is something like you can say 30% or even 25 to 30% is the descript category, both sheep and goats. In crossbreds or synthetics are very less, far less, very less compared to the cattle and buffalo. This size of this crossbred or synthetics is lesser compared to the cattle and buffaloes. Okay, that is, we can go up to the ND actually predominant. If it is more than 50, you can go up to 60% also. I think it is more than 50%, 60% you can say minimum, I think, in non-descript category. So then the last point I just given here is, what is the important product? What are the important products produced by sheep and goat breeding activity? I think first one is, in India, the first important product in both goats and sheep is meat. Okay, then the replacement animal. I think replacement animal form the integral part of any breeding activity. So I think by now you got what is replacement animal. That is, every generation an animal is produced after the reproduction, so that itself is a product. So when the that animal matures, meat, wool, other things will come. But immediately after the birth, and for the production of secondary products like meat, fine wool or carpet wool, we need the animals progeny. That is a replacement animal section. Okay, so that is an important product. Then we have fine wool and the carpet wool as the other two products. Fine wool, especially in Indian conditions, it is available only in the northwestern or Jammu Kashmir region, where some of the breeds have got a good fine wool quality is there. Other than that, in most of the southern this one, if at all wool is produced, sufficient amount is produced, it is a carpet wool kind of category. Okay, these are the products. So depending on the products, selection strategies will be different. Okay, I think we will just move on to the next slide. So sheep and goat strategies, when we say, so strategies, as I already told, breeding is nothing but utilization of the available genetic resources at any point of time, or reproduction of selected males and females. And in the strategies, when we say, we should remember the tiers, that is organized. So we have got this organized breeding. So in some, especially in the urban areas, there are people, certain number of people who are going for organized breeding in the this one, organized breeding. So organized breeding, when we say, it will have the tier, there will be a nucleus forms will be there, and directly second one, multiplication tier, will be missing in the sheep and goat category. So I think I will just point out what is tier here, breeding tier here. So breeding tier is nothing but the structured way of gene or gamete flow. Okay, or how the animals are utilized. So most of the times when we say tires, it will have three components. One is the nucleus forms, okay, where selection and breeding activity goes, okay, top level. Their number is very less, that is nucleus forms are less in number, and populations are also, size is also compared to the other, this one population is less. Selection, when we say selection, I think in the first class as I told, when we say selection, if we are breeding, if it has to be practiced in any form, you need to identify the animal, okay, record the traits, do the selection and breed. So this activity, these three activity will be going on in the nucleus forms. That is first tier. Second tier is multiplication tier. Okay, multiplication tier where they are solely utilized for reproduction only. Selection and breeding, selection will not be operating there, identification will not be there. They are little more in number compared to nucleus forms. They are exclusively meant for production of next level of individuals. Only reproduction activity will be the important activity in the multiplication tier. Then the last one is field or commercial populations. Field or commercial populations, I think this point I have covered in the first class I took for livestock breeding systems. You can just, if you have the notes, you can just go through that. So the last tier is commercial or field level population. So here actually there is no selection activity, there is no reproduction, there will be only rearing of the animals and slaughtering of the animals for the product purpose. That is either meat, wool or whatever, they are slaughtered for the meat purpose, and that activity goes. Their number is very high. Okay, their number is high. This is called as tiers. So especially in the organized breeding where there is a controlled breeding activity, there will be, these tiers will be very clear cut. Okay, but when we come to the unorganized, and gene flow will be usually from top level to bottom level. Okay, that is called as closed nucleus breeding systems where selection will be happening only in the top tier. There will no selection in the multiplication tier. Only there will be gene flow from nucleus form to multiplication form, then to the then to the commercial level. Okay, so if at all selection is practiced in the downward population, you can pick up the animal from commercial population also. So then it is called as open nucleus breeding systems. Okay, it is called as open nucleus breeding systems. If we pick up, there are three tiers. One is nucleus forms, second one is multiplication tier, third one is field population or commercial population. If the gene flow is only from nucleus form downwards, it is called as closed nucleus breeding systems. Okay, if the gene flow is in both way, if you pick up animal even from the downward level, if it is exceptionally high producing animal from the commercial or field level population and take them to the nucleus forms, it is called as open nucleus breeding systems. So open nucleus breeding system, as the name says, there will be gene flow in both the directions. Okay, gene flow will be only in unidirectional in the closed nucleus breeding systems. In the open nucleus breeding systems, gene flow is both way. Okay, so usually for that reason the efficiency of selection will be better or higher in the open nucleus breeding systems. Okay, we will come to the second point here, that is unorganized section. So unorganized section as such will not have any kind of tiers. Okay, I think it is predominant in the Indian subcontinent, and in sheep and goats also, sheep and goats as well as cattle and buffaloes. This is predominant, and we have told already AA coverage is very poor in the sheep and goat. Less, you can say there are biological problems, for that reason AA is not practiced. So unorganized sector is one wherein there is no distinct nucleus form selection. Okay, commercial population will not be there. So it is just like we can say little relaxed. So some restrictions of the R.D. Weinberg or random breeding populations are lifted. So people, farmers do choose some animals depending on their survivability and the production. So the animals which are surviving better will be retained and they will be reproduced. As such, distinct identification selection activity will not be happening in the unorganized sector. And I think, as I already told in the cattle and buffalo section first class, so there will be overlapping generations. Okay, unorganized section will contain overlapping generations. Generations will not be distinct. Mostly 2 or 3 generations coexist in the population. Okay, so that is the, so in this section actually what we should see is how we can, in the first 2 points, in the organized breeding tiers with well established tiers, so strategies are straightforward. So whatever ultimate commercial level farmer, if he whatever he wants, if he wants animal to be maturing very early and feed efficiency to be very high, or if he is interested in wool, so depending on his requirements, the from the in the nucleus form selection will go on. Okay, selection will go on depending on the farmer's requirement in the organized breeding activity. So if you come to the unorganized, this one usually it is like replacement. As such, intense selection will not be practiced. Most of the time it is provision of better males from the distant breed origin, like that. Okay, only males here in the sheep and goats. An important this one is advantage with the sheep and goats is the, we can change the genetic structure of the population. Okay, we can change the genetic structure of the population by replacement of males which are less in number, and there we can replace the males very easily in the sheep and goats. Okay, if we have a farmer with 20 to 30 females, we can give the, can remove the males he has got already. He can replace the male of a superior breed origin, or he can even go for the exotic depending on the requirement of the farmer. Male, suitable male can be replaced. So if we keep that male for 1-2 years or 3 years, the next generation of individuals will be entirely a different kind of animals. Okay, so in that way we have the advantage of replacement. You can just take out that point in the unorganized section, especially in the sheep and goat strategy. So you can replace the male replacement will be an very very important strategy in the sheep and goats. Okay, so by replacing the males in the unorganized sectors, we can influence the genetic genetic architecture of the next generation of individuals very easily. Okay, so coming to the descript breeds, descript breed category. So descript breed, as so these first 2 are common, so that can exist in any section, either in descript or non-descript. Okay, when we come to the descript breeds as such, what should be the intention? So best one is, I think, within breed selection, you select among the breeds, allow them to breed. Okay, and crossing with males of distant origin, that is an useful strategy, should be followed always. That is, in order to avoid inbreeding effect on the next generation of individual, we should see that males are picked up from the distant origin frequently. Okay, they are picked up from the distant origin. That is, if a farmer is from one taluka, he can meet a farmer from other taluka or other state also of similar this one. He can go for Deccani, for example. If he is there in Chitradurga, he can ask the fellows who are in Tumkur or other regions who are not met, there is no crossing among them. He can pick up the male from that taluka or that district. Okay, from the same breed, Deccani, like that. Okay, so that is the meaning of second point in crossing with males of distant origin. Okay, then the third point in the same descript category, descript breeds of Indian origin with distinct, that is it has been distinct, you can just take it as distinct, with distinct advantage can be incorporated. You can just read that point further. Okay, descript breeds of Indian origin with distinct advantage can be incorporated. This point especially I have put because, for example, you have got a Deccani is there. Okay, a farmer has been doing breeding activities in some 10 years or 12 years. Okay, he feels that his flock is, for example, the meat quality is may not be better. So in that case, you can think of the breeds of other origin. That is, so Kenguri, on the other hand, it is very hardy, it is little taller compared to the Deccani. Okay, so, or you can even go for Vembur from Tamil Nadu, one male. So as I told in the previous just section, you can male replacement is a very good advantage in the sheep and goat. You can pick up the male for a male of a different breed. Okay, which has got distinct advantage. Okay, that is, he feels that meat quality in single generation of breeding, we can change the meat quality to a considerable extent. In that case, you can pick up the breeds of Indian origin with some distinct advantage. Depending on the breed he has got, he should choose, that is, for example, Deccani, he can use Kanguri. Okay, for Deccani, he can use Ramnad White or Madras Red, like that. So, if you have very distinct advantages, we can think of utilizing the breeds of Indian origin to have the immediate change in the next generation of individual. This can also be thought of as an important strategy. Then coming to the nondescript, this forms a major chunk of the sheep and goats. So that is the best one is the second point I have given, inter-se mating. So if farmer is not willing, he can go for inter-se. The inter-se mating is nothing but you choose only the better animals among the nondescript and allow them to breed. Okay. So if the farmer is interested in drastic change, he can go for crossbreeding. Okay, if the farmer is interested in drastic change in the crossbreeding, that is in his population, so then he should opt for crossbreeding with any this one. Now it is especially sheep and goat, although it is unorganized, so it is paving way for lot of crossbreeding activity. Especially you might have heard of breeds like Darper, Boyer in the goat section. Okay, you might have heard of these two words, Darper and Boyer. Boyer is a goat breed from African origin. Darper is a sheep breed from African origin. Okay, they have been experimented. That is Darper because tropical countries. So in the upgradation of breeding, actually next cross breeding, you should see that which breed is better, will be better adapted to the local conditions. So that should be thought of. Okay, especially this kind of activity is not happening in cattle and buffaloes because it is completely monitored by government. Okay, so their limitations are also there with the size of the animal. Economy of bringing such a big bull is very erroneous task. That is a very hilarious task. For that reason, that is not happening in cattle and buffalo. But sheep and goat, people are experimenting with breeds of exotic origin to change the genetic structure of their population in a short period of time and have the market advantage. Okay, especially Boyer and Darper have been utilized for the upgradation of their stock, okay, in producing crossbreeding. So once crossbred individuals are available, you should see that either you can go for within the crossbreed groups, you should go for selection. If there is no problem with the survivability of next generation of individuals with further crossing with the exotic animals, you can go ahead with the crossing of exotic animals. If there is a problem of managing the higher exotic level, that is inheritance level exotic animals in the crossbred group, you should restrict the inheritance of exotic animals. So as we told in the cattle and buffalo, that is 50 to 62.5 percentage limitation of exotic inheritance that should be ensured in order to go profitably in the upgradation of nondescript sheep and goat. Okay, we'll just move on to the next slide. So here actually when we say strategies, you can just take the ONBS, CNBS also here, that is open nucleus breeding system. And I think students, we should remember one point here in the breeding strategies. It is not an theory. Okay, breeding strategy is not a theory. So it is what is being practiced at the field level. So for that reason, you should have the knowledge of selection and other things. These things should be there, should be with you. But according to the conditions existing in the field level, you should suggest a suitable breeding strategy for a progressive farmer or for the common farmers. Okay, depending on this one. And you should also highlight, and I think by now, by attending already, you are in the second year, I think you have got important 4 pillars of husbandry or cattle animal husbandry are breeding, feeding, heeding and weeding. I think have you heard of these 4 points? Breed, feed, weed and heed. Okay, breed is nothing but what we are doing now, right now, breeding. Okay, and feed is nutrition. Okay, and heed is management that you have learnt in the LPM, and weed is culling. Okay, these 4 things should be utilized for the upliftment of livestock. Okay, so we can use any of these strategies, but of the 4 just now I mentioned, breed, feed, heed and weed, breed and weed form a important activity because they will be there for lot of generations compared to other influences. Okay, feeding and heeding will be there only in this generation. If you don't manage them well, next generation it will be different. So if you don't feed them well, next generation it will be different. In the each generation you will have to do the feeding activity. But when we come to the breeding and weeding is nothing but culling. So if you do this properly in one generation, that effect will be little longer. They will be carried on for further generations also. So that is the importance of breeding strategy. We'll move on to the next slide. So wherein, so I think I have just put that point here also again. So this is end in the candy, this one I mentioned that. Okay, so crossbred with exotic. So this point I already told you. I just mentioned Darper and Boyer. So I have included two more breeds also here, Rambulet and Merino. That is for crossbreeding. We can use any of these four breeds. Boyer for goat, this above three, Darper, Rambouillet for Merino for sheep. So you can go for improvement of the ND. This one sheep or goat can be done with the, you can use these breeds. But the with restriction is, as I just now told you, you should see market advantage. So Boyer especially has got, they have got a distinct market advantage. So immediately an animals which is coming to market weight in 1 year will come to market weight in around 6 or 8 months. So you'll have a advantage of 4 months in the large number of animals. Okay, when you cross an heavy animal, exotic animal with a lesser body weight animals of Indian origin, immediately in the one generation, that is in the next year or 1.5 year or 2 year, we will have group of animals which reach the market weight in 4 months lesser than the previous generations. So that becomes a very very distinct market advantage. So if the people are interested in exploiting this advantage, they should ensure the crossbreeding, and they should see that what is the level of exotic inheritance that should be retained for optimum purpose. Okay, and coming, I think I got this point here again. Breeding tier structure, this should be kept in mind. Okay, this will be there in the organized breeding activity. This structure will be retained. Nucleus forms, multiplication tier, field or commercial population, will this structure will be there in the organized this one. In unorganized section, whole thing, whole population is one, this one. Okay, the breeding activity selection will not be there. So as such, little, as I told already, there will be Hardy-Weinberg populations lesser. Some restrictions are lifted. Some selection will be going on. Very little selection will be going on. Otherwise, it is a group of animals with overlapping generations. Okay, we'll just move on to the next this one. So we'll come to important this one in the, so altogether we have got a, now we covered cattle and buffaloes, sheep and goat I mentioned. Okay, so I think students, you should remember one thing here. Whenever we say breeding strategy, 3 or 4 points are very very important. One is the target population, what kind of population we are covering or we are dealing with. That always you should remember, whether it is a what kind of category, whether it is completely non-ND cattle, ND group, non-descript animals are there, or descript breeds are there. Okay, or crossbred individuals are there. That should be kept in mind. And you should also have in the mind that is about the products, what kind of products are made. And usually, and we should also remember one important point here, that is a decision made in the breeding strategy will be a long term one. So for that reason, we cannot have short term goals in the breeding activity. So breeding activity should have a long term planning. Okay, so we'll come to the next species, an important species, that is poultry. I think poultry is an important species in Indian subcontinent. So there are two kinds of rearing as in any other livestock, extensive and intensive. Okay, so most of the times extensive breeding will be with the available genetic resources naturally available, and intensive will be depending on the high productive breeds. Okay, so that is true with any organization, but in Indian subcontinent that category distinction is very much seen in the poultry. Extensive kind of system wherein native breeds are available, their production is less. Okay, and they become the livelihood this one option for the farmers, extensive. So when we come to the intensive, it is organized. Here actually in the, as just now I told you, when we say intensive in the poultry, it is almost an industrial kind of activity now. Okay, with the large number of hatcheries, large number of breeding farms in the country. So almost 3 to 4 decades it is in such conditions. So it is completely transferred itself in, there is a distinct category. Extensive is different, intensive is different. Intensive has got a high input system, so wherein these tires we explained are very very clear cut in the intensive section. These breeding tires we mentioned, that is, I will go back to the previous slide for the explanation of breeding tires again. Okay, this tire I am saying, that is nucleus, and the second bullet point you can just see there, breeding tires, nucleus forms, multiplication tire, field or commercial population. This is very very clear cut in the intensive poultry rearing, modern poultry. This is very clear cut. So there are selected nucleus forms are there, multiplication tires are there. Okay, so selection will be happening in the nucleus, selection, breeding activity, identification will all be happening in the nucleus forms. They are less in number. Multiplication tires are exclusively meant for the reproduction purpose. Field level and commercial population, no selection, no breeding, only rearing and harvesting. So this category is distinct in the intensive poultry farming organized section. Okay, coming to the population structure, that is third bullet point in the poultry. So population structure is, one is descript and non-descript category of breeds of Indian origin that are there only in the extensive system of rearing. And the other section, that is crossbreds, synthetic, high producing strains are all there in the intensive section. Okay, so intensive section that is there. And there is a lot of difference in the breeding strategy required for extensive poultry rearing and the modern intensive poultry. Lot of difference. There is a lot of diversification and there is a lot of difference between the breeding priorities in these two sections. Okay, so these breeding tires are there in the intensive organized poultry. Okay, breeding tires are there, clear cut are there in the intensive poultry rearing, and they are not there in the extensive rearing. Their generations are overlapping. There is no clear cut select nucleus form, those thing categories are not there. Okay, all are mixed. There is breeding animals which are harvested for next generation for the product purpose are all living together, and there will be overlapping generations. Okay, so coming to the, as I just now told you, poultry is a larger term which encompasses chicken, okay, chicken, geese, okay, turkey will all come, will guinea fowl will all come to that picture. Here actually specifically when we say with respect to breeding strategies, we are covering the chicken. Okay, we are targeting only the chicken. So chicken is the predominant poultry that is reared for the commercial purpose. So again in the chickens we have got a clear cut demarcation. One is layer breeding activity, another is the broiler breeding activity. Okay, layer breeding activity, I think as by now all of you are aware of the fact that layers are, so I think in both these layers and as well as broilers, these breeding tires are different. Okay, I will just pinpoint again here. For layer there are, okay, for layer there are separate nucleus forms, multiplication tires and commercial population, and for broilers there are separate nucleus forms, separate multiplication tires, field level population. So what I mean by that is, so there is no intermixing. Layer strain chicken variety is completely different, broiler chicken variety is completely different, and breeding activity is also completely diversified. Again within that, to make you, I think product wise, so layer is eggs, table eggs are the important products. Other than that there are plenty of products that you learn in the LPT. Okay, so but as on now primary product in the layer industry is a table egg. That is, table egg means infertile egg, an egg that is not fertilized, which can be consumed by large number of people, and a very nutritious livestock product. Okay, so poultry product. So in order to produce this efficiently, I think you have the layers on average. I think I might have told here and there. So layers, commercial layers, this distinction is very very clear. Okay, so farmers, that is average farmers, will be rearing only commercial or field level population will be there with them. There is no selection and breeding identification will not be there in the commercial level population. So they rear a generation of individuals, they slaughter it, they forget it. They will have to bring back the animals again. Okay, so here actually in the poultry, that one of the important point I told, that is replacement animal. Okay, this fits in very well for the poultry. Okay, so because for intensive farming, and farmer has to bring the, for animals batch of 10 lakh 10,000 animals every time from the multiplication tier entrepreneur. Okay, and farmer of either layer or broiler type, for each generation he has to procure the replacement animal from the multiplication tier. Okay, so that is a distinct feature of chicken livestock breeding, chicken breeding activity. So the point I told, as the products meat, milk, okay, draught are not the only product. These replacement animals are also the important product. That is very much seen in the poultry chicken section. It is very much seen. For each generation they will have to go to the multiplication tier. They will have to purchase the multiplication tier, just like these maize hybrid seeds or any hybrid seeds in the agriculture. They are purchased every time for each year for sowing activity. They will have to bring the purchase the seeds. Okay, in the same way, these chicks of layer or broiler origin should be purchased from the multiplication tier. Okay, so there the product is an important product is for the multiplication tier entrepreneur, replacement animal. For him meat is not a product. Okay, so I think I'll go back to the other slide again. In the nucleus forms, products are breeding animals. Okay, I think you just listen to this. For the person who is operating the pure lines, that is layers and broilers, the entrepreneurs are different here. Okay, nucleus farms, there will be a company people, few people will own the nucleus farms. Selection and breeding will be practiced. For him product is breeding animal. Okay, animals which are required for upgradation of their animals. Okay, next level of so those are the breeding animal itself is a selected animal, is a product in nucleus forms. When these selected animals in different combinations are supplied to the multiplication tier. Okay, multiplication tier in chicken, directly we can say these are the people who operate breeding farms and hatcheries. Okay, you can just take down that point. Multiplication tier in chicken is nothing but the people, farmers who are rearing, having breeding farms and hatcheries. Okay, they will purchase the breeding animals from the nucleus farms. Okay, and the product in the multiplication tier is the replacement animal for the field level. These are usually hybrid individuals. Okay, these are the hybrid individuals. Okay, so those are the important product in the multiplication tier. In the field level or commercial population, product is product itself. Animal meant for meat, animal meant for egg purpose is directly sold. That is, eggs are sold, meats are sold, meat is sold. That is the product. Okay, so in each structure the product is different. I think you got that point. So I think we will not go into the details of how the industry that's operating. So I can just, you can take few points here with respect to chicken breeding. One is the breeding activity is different for layers and broilers. Okay, so this breeding of strategy for chickens involves inbreeding as well as crossbreeding. So breeding activity for chickens exploits both inbreeding and crossbreeding. Okay, inbreeding, so selection strategy, different, all these things they are taken care in the nucleus forms. In the nucleus forms, I'll just explain few points here. You can just take down. For nucleus forms, there will be lines, different distinct lines in each category. In layer as well as broilers, there will be distinct lines selected for particular purpose. There will be certain amount of breeding within the lines. Lines are nothing but strains. Lines are nothing but a smaller group of animals having a distinct production character are called as lines. Okay, there will be a mild level of inbreeding going on in the lines, within the lines. Okay, after that, once the lines are formed, they are exploited in different combinations between the lines for crossbreeding. Okay, in order to have higher reproduction potential and uniformity of performance, they will opt the crossbreeding in both layers as well as broilers. Okay, at this point, what you should remember is the animals supplied as replacement for animals for the layer and broiler commercial level farming section cannot be breeding, they cannot breed. For layers, for example, as replacement animals for an average farmer, only females are supplied. Okay, only females are supplied, so there is no male supplied in the layers. So only females will be there, they will produce the egg and you will slaughter, or you will cull the animals, whole section of animals, birds for the slaughter purpose. Okay, there ends the activity. So you'll keep them for 1 year. Females are given to the average commercial farmer, they will produce the eggs for 1 year. After that they will be slaughtered, sent for slaughtering. Okay, broilers, they will rear from for 6 weeks straight run. So here also no breeding activity, they will rear, the commercial farmer will rear the all the chicks for about 6 weeks or 7 weeks maximum. He will sell all the animals for slaughter purpose. So for the next batch he has to go back to the person in the multiplication tier who is having breeding farms and the hatcheries. Hatcheries are nothing but the commercial, that is large scale incubation and hatching of fertile eggs activity. Okay, that I will not touch how the hatchery operates. The important advantage with respect to breeding in the chicken is, you can, the compared to the other species, I think you can take few points for the poultry. Generation interval is lesser, very less. Fecundity is very high. Okay, and the other point is we can hatch large number of eggs. Okay, large number of eggs fertile eggs can be hatched through mechanical ways, that is machine, through the machine automation. We can hatch large number of eggs at a time. Okay, that is the activity that is being taken up in the hatchery. Okay, I think it is completely industrialized. I think you can visit the farm. If you want some points, I can explain if the details are required. So otherwise we'll just have this picture. You can also take this point here, I just already mentioned here. In the layer we have diversification of male and female lines. Okay, in the broiler also we have diversification of male and female lines in the first 2 tiers. Okay, that is nucleus forms and the multiplication tiers. This distinction is clear cut, it is very much visible. Okay, I think so you just note down those points. I think for your this one, I think that is sufficient. You have male and female lines are distinct, they are reared by nucleus forms and the multiplication tier. Okay, so this tier, this male and female lines will not be there in the commercial or field level population. They are only 4-way hybrids. You can take down these points also. 4-way hybrids are supplied to the ultimate commercial level farmer, who will have the advantage of crossbreeding or heterosis to maximum extent. Okay, so here to say strategy in the poultry, it is intense crossbreeding as well as intense within line selection. You can just note down that point. It is intense crossbreeding along with the intense selection within the lines. Okay, so this has to be kept in mind. There is a high intensity selection happening in the chicken industry, so that is the important advantage of chicken industry. It has got many other disadvantages, let us not bother about that. So because at this point for the breeding strategy, it is, you can just take down, it is high level crossbreeding as well as high intensity selection practiced in the lines maintained at nucleus farms. Okay, so and the periodically at different levels they will exploit the heterosis. One is at the multiplication tier also heterosis is exploited, and again in the commercial levels also heterosis is exploited. Heterosis is nothing but crossbreeding. Crossbreeding is exploited in the multiplication and commercial tier. So in the nucleus forms only intense selection within the lines is exploited. Okay, I think with that I will just move on to the swine section. So you can just say activity in the same thing is the scenario in the swine also, but in Indian subcontinent the extent is different. Extensive rearing is very high, it is more predominant, although it is a less preferred species in Indian subcontinent. Importance is less compared to the poultry. Poultry is a very important section compared to swine, because it is providing lot of eggs as nutritious product, and also meat section also almost 46 to 60%, 50% of the total meat consumed in India is of chicken origin. Swine is very less, you can say hardly 5% or even less than that. So as an importance, but in selected pockets, there can northeast and Madikeri, Kurgu, Hasna, there is more consumption of swine. So but the breeding activity, coming to the breeding activity, similar is the scenario, but the intensity is less. Okay, extensive is predominant. Okay, you can just take down that point. Extensive breeding is the predominant. Okay, intensive is, it is less predominant compared to the extensive system. Same kind of breeding tiers, all this activity will be there. So cross breeding is also there. One of the importance is here, so as a livelihood option, cross breeding can be adopted in the swine also. Okay, just like cattle and buffaloes, in swine also cross breeding activity can be taken up for improvement of animals of descript and non-descript category. Okay, for improvement of the descript and non-descript category, a artificial insemination with the exotic semen can be utilized. So same is the structure. Actually I can just copy down the strategy I just mentioned for. So what we should remember in this one is intensive, extensive, non-descript, descript categories, and crossbred categories also, but the extent of operation is far lesser compared to cattle and buffalo as well as poultry. Okay, because of the economic importance, because especially in the northeast there is a activity being done there with the breeds of exotic origin, where there the requirement is high. They do go for cross breeding with the exotic animals just like the cattle and buffaloes, but the intensity is lesser. But that kind of activity is not in Goa, other state also there is some kind of artificial insemination activity with respect to swine. But other than that, that artificial insemination or crossbreeding is not there in the other livelihood, people who are rearing for livelihood reason. So there actually they may purchase the crossbred animals directly from the selected farms, and they will rear them and sell them. So breeding activity as such with the exotic origin breeds is not there in the extensive system. Okay, I think with that I'll just end up this livestock breeding strategies. We'll take up the remaining thing, whatever point if it is there I will take up in the later class, if you elicit, if you express any doubt. Okay, with that I will just stop my lecture here. Okay, bye bye.